So now let's move on to our next and last session of the day. This will be on the theme of how can humans and AI co-create a sustainable future? So I'd like to welcome our panelists to the stage. As they enter, please give them a round of applause. First up, Kotoba Technologies KK CEO, Mr. Noriyuki Kojima. 皆様拍手お願いします。All right, next up from Turing Incorporated, co-founder and director, Mr. Shunsuke Aoki. Next, from Empower Partners Fund LP, general partner, Ms. Kathy Matsui. Looks like she's got some fans out here in the audience. Okay, and this session will be moderated by Microsoft Japan Company Limited Representative Director and President of Microsoft Japan, Ms. Miki Tsusaka. All right, so Miki-san, if you are ready to go, I'll hand the mic over to you.
Super ready. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I think they're saving the best for last because there'll be some great announcements after we're off the stage. But I'd like to introduce you to three extraordinary people that have joined me today to talk about a sustainable future co-created with AI. Again, my name is Miki Tsusaka. I'm the Microsoft president in Japan. I will set the scene. I'll talk for about 3 minutes, and each of us will do that. And then we'll open it up to some discussions around how we co-create with AI and how we envision the future, the upsides and some of the challenges we see. So, some of you may have seen that last month, Microsoft actually as a company celebrated its 50th anniversary. You see the, yep. I'm very proud to announce that Microsoft Japan actually is 47 years old. We are the oldest overseas subsidiary. Bill Gates actually opened Japan 47 years ago, so we're 3 years short of 50, and the company has dramatically changed in the 50 years, but in particular in the last 10 years under Satya Nadella, our current CEO's leadership. I'd like to just brag a little bit about Microsoft's commitment to Japan. Last April, with Prime Minister Kishida, I was in Washington, D.C., and announced that we are investing, it says $3 billion, it was $2.9 billion in our data center infrastructure, which these guys are using aggressively. We've also announced that in a world where AI is really here, it's not a thing of the future, we do believe that the national labor pool that we have in Japan could be further enhanced and be more productive by reskilling. So we've committed to reskilling 3 million people, particularly women, and I can talk about that a bit later as well. We've also opened our first Microsoft Research Asia office, and this is pure research. So it's not the products that I hope you all know and love, like PowerPoint and Excel and Copilot and all, but this is the stuff of the future, and we have our unique research center focused on unique problems that Japan has around wellness and aging and such that we will be focusing our pure research on. And lastly, we've announced a cyber smart AI program that we're offering for free to the public sector as well as the corporate sector to ensure that Japan remains safe and secure in the use of AI. I'll show you 2 demos that I'm quite excited about, but let me see a show of hands. How many of you actually use Microsoft products? Excel, Word, Copilot, Teams, great. So this is the latest. You may have heard in the news and also may actually be using agents. So this is a demo of my speaking to my team in Japanese. One speaks Spanish, naturally, and the other speaks Korean. And you'll see the power of interpreter agent, which is available now.
マーさんとステラさんはすでに日頃から毎日 AI を活用していると思いますけど、どんな感想をお持ちでした?
저희 법무부에서는 매일 계약서 체크 에이전트를 사용합니다.
契約をレビューしたり、重要なドキュメントを検索したりする際には、コパイロットを使用して契約をより迅速に処理します。人的知識が必要な業務により集中することで、業務効率がさらに向上します。
Utilizamos agentes de análisis financiero a diario. 私たちは日常的にエージェントと財務分析を使用しており、財務チームは定期的にデータを収集および分析するために多くの時間と労力を費やしています。今では財務分析エージェントを利用すれば、 ワンクリックですぐに結果を得ることができます。
So I believe one of the bottlenecks for Japan's growth is our ability to speak more than Japanese. This team's interpreter agent has been a game changer for me and my clients from around the world as well, and I hope you all have a chance to touch it as well. The next demo is all about how I personally figure out ways to digest and understand all the information that's out there, make it concise, and then even post what's going on. The Microsoft blog every day from corporate produces tons of documentation, tons of news. I had my team create an agent that scans everything that's happening over a 7-day basis. So I let the agent work for me. I've given it instructions to weekly do a report for me. It scans what comes out, it summarizes it, it translates to Japanese, it makes a newsletter for me to distribute to my employees in Microsoft. So you'll see, with a little bit of music. So I've asked it to summarize what they see in Japanese. This is the agent that sources the data, summarizes it, and then I post it. And I can post it on Viva Engage, which is an internal sharing documentation. I could also post it up on LinkedIn. So imagine the number of people that was doing this for me before. This is an agent that does this for me every week. So with that, let me hand the stage and the mic over with one more slide, just to do a bit of context setting. I think there's a lot being said about AI. Microsoft's mission around the world is to empower every person in every organization to achieve more. Microsoft Japan hopes to co-pilot your growth. We will have some very interesting conversations about AI and how it's already being deployed and how it will be deployed. And so with that, let me hand over the mic to Kojima-san at Kotoba.
Yeah, thank you so much for Tsusaka-san for the warm intro, and I'm very excited to be here. My name is Noriyuki. I'm a co-founder CEO of the company called Kotoba Technologies. Myself has a background of being a Gen AI researcher in the US. I hold my PhD from Cornell, and I'm also a co-founder of the project called Fugaku LLM, endeavor of building Japanese Gen AI using Japanese supercomputer. When I co-founded Kotoba, we had this mission. We want to create a company which represents Gen AI in the Japanese AI ecosystem. And today, we are the leader of speech Gen AI in Japan. When I say speech Gen AI, it's really broad, and people don't have a clear idea of what we are building. We have 3 pillars of the things we are building. One is AI simultaneous translation. I'm very excited about Microsoft's progress. And we also do ASR, which is a technology of producing clean text out of audios. This is a very popular technologies in the call center and other disciplines. We have the best technology on the speech synthesis and speech chatbot, and this is already deployed in the large enterprises in Japan. For our company, our demo speaks better than myself, so let's take a look at the demo.
Okay.
So yeah, let's take a look at this demo. This is a very short video, and all of the audio produced here is synthesized by our AI. So let's play this. Okay, I'm just gonna probably click by myself.
Kotoba Technologies のミッションは音声基盤モデルを作ることです。
私たちのモデルはこのように流暢な日本語を生成できます。
さらにこのように生成する音声のスタイルをコントロールすることも可能です。
言葉のモデルは世界最強の日本語音声生成モデルです。
We are super excited about the technology of Gen AI in speech. Our current AI is not only capable of generating fluent Japanese speeches, but it can also control the emotion and the style of speeches. I want to give you guys one more demo. This is AI-powered simultaneous translation. This is me taking a video 9 p.m. in the office, casually trying out our simultaneous translation system. I'm speaking in Japanese, and our AI is capable of translating my speech, in Japanese speech into English speech with a really low latency with my voice cloning.
I am currently demonstrating simultaneous interpretation tools for language technologies. Demonstrate this, and now I am Japanese. Say something, reprogram. When I speak Japanese like this, English is about 2 to 3 seconds behind. And it turns out in this one, I see. Can you say this with my voice?
Okay, maybe this is enough. I'm very excited to contribute our technology could potentially break the language barrier. So many people are going to be happy about this. Finally, I want to talk about our iOS app because I feel this is the best app for this kind of event. If you could go to this QR link and download our iOS app, you can use this iOS app for free for simultaneous translation. This is one of the fastest options of translating your Japanese, English, Korean, Chinese speech into the language of you want to read. And it's getting very popular. So please try this. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much, Kojima-san. I
Thank you
actually use
very
this
much. That was
application
really,
for every day,
really cool.
just for daily life. I really like this application.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm co-founder of the Turing company, which is, I'm Shunsuke. I'm co-founder for the Turing company, which is focusing on the autonomous driving systems AI, Gen AI. Before launching this startup almost 4 years ago, I was actually earning a PhD in computer engineering at the Carnegie Mellon University at the US, focusing on the autonomous driving system itself, like the picture here. So actually, we went to the bunch of places in the US and driving a test drive in the Washington, D.C. and New York for autonomous driving system, and came back to Japan, start a company right now. And also, I was ex-intern of the Microsoft Research.
Great. And you told me I would be in one of your cars in a few months. I look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm still actually very, very proud of my career. In addition to serving as a board member of Turing right now, I'm a part of a working group of SDV, METI's software-defined vehicle group to regulate and discuss the future direction for the autonomous driving systems in Japan. So let me show one video. Please go ahead. すいません、お願いします。Yeah, at Turing, we are currently developing one core product which is called Turing Drive, or TD1, which is end-to-end autonomous driving systems. AI determines every decision to be taken for the near 3 or 4 seconds later. TD1 leverages neural networks to directly process camera data to determine the output for the precise control of the vehicles. So last year, we successfully completed initial trials on the closed test track, and now we put the autonomous driving systems on public road in Tokyo area. So our next major milestone is Tokyo 30, in which we continuously drive the autonomous driving systems over 30 minutes without any human intervention, with only camera. The target day is December 2025, or maybe much more earlier, maybe autumn or summer. Okay. And I will actually inviting all of you, you guys, and you guys.
So, Miki can go first. I go first, apparently.
Yeah, we actually already reserved her
I have a
day
seat.
to drive.
Very exciting stuff. Last but not least, Kathy, some opening remarks about who you are, what you do, and what you think of all of this.
Yeah.
Sure. Nice to be here, and I am general partner at Empower Partners. I believe you may have seen my colleague Miwaseki judge the pitch contest earlier. We are Japan's first ESG integrated global venture capital fund. We launched 4 years ago. We have just launched 2 additional funds, which is Fund 2 of our main fund, and a women founder and women empowerment focused fund, along with Tokyo Metropolitan Government. Thank you very much. In terms of AI and our perspective from an investor standpoint, I think there's very few companies we're meeting these days that don't have some element of AI in their business models, in Japan as well as overseas. I believe that if you look at it from a macro perspective, AI is expected to drive about something like 1.5% to 3% additional growth to global GDP by the year 2030. To put that into context, that's like creating one China between now and the next 5 years. So that's the magnitude of the opportunity set that AI can bring to the world. For Japan, obviously, we all know the labor shortage is very, very real, and productivity needs to improve. And to us, and to most investors around the world, AI is going to be an excellent solution. Last year in 2024, $75 billion went into venture funding for AI. That's a huge amount of capital. Having said that, though, apparently the statistic is that after 2 years, about a third of AI startups fail. So it's not like, a panacea that if you have AI, everybody's going to win. That is clearly not the case. But if you can use and incorporate AI intelligently into the business, and I think for Japan, like manufacturing applications, for healthcare, for diagnostics, that is truly a very powerful key for Japan's future growth. One last comment I'll make is that from an investor's perspective, we are seeing businesses being created much more rapidly thanks to AI. I think there's a company called Mind Journey or something like that. It started with 10 people and just a few $1 million of revenues only about 4 or 5 years ago. This company today is about $500 million in revenues with about 130 employees. In other words, revenue per employee, RPE, this is a really new used metric these days, is about $4 million per employee. In other words, you can create startups, you can create new businesses very cheaply, very quickly, and they're disrupting, traditional ways of building startups. So for us, it's super exciting to see the speed of creation, although there are, going to be some, losers, of course, along the way. But I think this is a very exciting moment to be on the investing side, watching this dynamic evolution play out.
Thank you, Kathy. As you said, this is happening very fast, and with technology trends where Japan is sometimes behind our global peers. This one, I think we're very close. Japan has one of the highest penetrations of levels of interest. The gap between the rest of the world leaders versus our leaders in Japan, saying AI is a necessary part of business, is around 3/4 already. And if you think about the talent market in the future, if you ask employers, will they hire somebody with or without AI skills? The answer is overwhelmingly with. And so it will be, and already is becoming, a part of our educational system. And many of you are here because you're already engaged in the game, so to speak. With that, let me open up to 2 questions. Question number 1, and any panelists would care to raise their hand can go first. My first question to you all is that we'd love to hear your views about both the wonderful things, the unique things, the upside, the excitement around AI, but there's also risk, and maybe you can give us a perspective on leveraging AI as a co-creation partner. What do you see are the upsides, and what do you see are the potential risks that we need to manage? Any of you care? Whoever I see, I can start with you, or please. Thank you, Kojima-san, for volunteering.
Thank you very much for letting me take in the first place.
Okay. It gets harder as you know.
Yeah. I guess when we talk about AI, people are so excited about agent, essentially, machine to human interactions. But something I'm personally excited about is how AI can improve human to human interactions. Even with AI, who is the main character of this society? It gotta be humans, right? So for that, we are very excited to deploy the type of technology we built to improve human to human interactions. So I guess if you go back to what Kotoba is building, it's really about AI-powered simultaneous translation. And we can think about so many ways to deploy this technology to improve humans' experience of interacting with each other. Maybe for a general example, you can show up in a business meeting and you don't know the language your colleague is speaking to. But with our technology, maybe we can break this language barrier. We can potentially open up new market opportunities. Live streamer is a thing these days. So many live streamers on the Twitch, YouTube is broadcasting their gaming, for example. Maybe we can deploy simultaneous translation for those live streamers to not only live stream what their contents in their own language, but maybe in 10 languages or even 20 languages simultaneously. This is groundbreaking. I feel like humans' dream for past 100 years, 200 years is coming true thanks to the power of AI.
Well, you're very excited. Do you see any risks in deploying this technology?
Yeah, I do. So for example, I claim myself, I'm a CEO, but I still code by myself, thankfully.
Okay.
Yeah, these days, like I tend to use a lot of like AI assistant for coding. It's gonna improve your productivity a lot, but at the same time, it's gonna weaken your ability as a coder. So you definitely need the ability to, rely on AI versus somehow maintain your ability of doing some kind of task as a human. So that's a sort of like weak risk I'm realizing. Maybe we need to balance leveraging the power of AI versus like how much human is capable of.
Right. Right. So you still have to go to school and still have to study.
Yeah, education is important.
Okay. Should we just go down the line? Would you like to?
Maybe me? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have two things to talk for the unique value and excitement for the AI. For the personal things, I actually heavily rely on GPT for daily life for myself. As a co-founder of the company, CXO of the company, there's a bunch of struggling things in my side. So firstly, I use GPT for generating idea or making some sentences, images. But right now, I daily use GPT for internal dialogue and
How
self-reflection.
many times a day do you use it?
Very sensitive information is going to the GPT.
Okay.
So I think that my parents or my partner, my friends, I think GPT is much more knowing about me itself right now. So this is really good things. I mean, I couldn't open myself to the other person like you and friends, but I have good
So
partner.
it's a part of your daily routine.
Correct.
Okay.
Through the conversation with AI,
Yes.
I found a new character of myself.
Okay.
This is a really good experience to me. Another thing is related to my job. Actually, we generate a bunch of images, text, movies, and ideas. Right now, we consider the AI might be able to generate the action to be taken for robots or autonomous driving systems. Right now, the people is going to the languages or images right now for AI uses. But right now, I think the next 2 or 3 years, the physical AI is showing up in the physical area.
Right.
I mean, real world.
Multimodal from virtual to reality.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, I think the physical AIs need to understand how the real things is moving on, or some physical law should be understandable for them. But I think that this is good. I'm really looking forward to see this kind of future. Yeah.
I think we have to talk louder because they're getting loud over there. So Kathy, hello.
At the scream.
How would you answer this question about the upside and the risks of
Which is
AI?
exactly what we have to deal with every day in our investing team. So as I mentioned earlier, we see tremendous upside, particularly for companies here in Japan with adoption of AI from, like I said, healthcare. Think about all the radiologists that have to look at x-rays day in and day out. And human error in looking at x-rays day in and day out is obviously quite high. When you can train AI models to be able to read and detect cancer cells or benign cells, that's super powerful, right? And we also actually met an Israeli startup. I think they're selling their product in the United States. It's an AI, kind of like an Alexa for elderly people who live alone. And basically, like Alexa, you have to say, ask a question. This little robot doesn't wait for you to ask a question. It just says if your elderly mother is sitting at the kitchen table, hi, Susan, how is your leg feeling? Because I understand you fell last week. Did you take your medicine? Did you, go shopping? It just prompts you and has a conversation. So it's to combat loneliness. So things like this, I think, are incredibly powerful ways to deploy AI in many different business models. The risk, though, from an investor's perspective is obviously the evolution we were talking earlier is so rapid right now. You think that AI agents, we think bots, just 6 months ago we saw a US company, it's like, wow, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And boom, there's like 50 companies. There are AI agents that are basically doing outbound sales and things like that. So we have to be very careful about, how competitive really is this technology for this particular application. We also have to be very mindful about how models are trained. For example, AI can have biases, right, inherent in their models. How is that the models being tested for biases or hallucinations and things like this? So we have to be very careful as an investor to really measure both sides of this question. What are the upsides, but also what are the potential downside and risks on a long-term view?
Thank you very much. If I may, if I would add a few more thoughts that we may not have touched on. There, at least in my business as Microsoft, the questions I get asked around the risks are first around sustainability, because it takes a lot of energy and a lot of resources to run AI. And the other piece would be security. You know, as we are in an interconnected world, you know, there are certain things you should put into ChatGPT and certain things you shouldn't. And so there's a security piece. And on both of those, I think that those of us that provide the service, the platform, the advantage of it, you know, need to be responsible to make sure that we do these things in a way that is safe and secure and sustainable. And so at the same time as we're all excited about the upside possibilities, I think those of us in the industry are looking for ways to do it with less energy, less asset intensive, and that's why we see the speed of things increasing. We're seeing the cost of things decreasing. So I hope we get there as well. But the last piece I would say, and I think Kojima-san, you mentioned it as well, around the learning piece. I do get asked often around, you know, oh, if the kids can already speak 20 languages or it can already do math, Excel can do Python, where's the learning? And I do think that's a very important reminder of the new skills we need to maybe educate the next generation. I use a tool called Copilot. It's all about, you know, thinking of it indeed as an agent, as a companion. Sometimes it's your boss because it's smarter than you. Sometimes it's your assistant because you need that support, and figuring out ways to increase your learning by imagining a world where you have more agents, support, you know, a bigger team around you, so that, as Aoki-san said, there's more of you out there to do more things that are more exciting, I think is the way to go. But let me move to the next question and get your thoughts. So if we just think ahead, not just now, and I know we couldn't have imagined where we were even 3 years ago, but if we jump ahead 5 years from now, where do these things go in terms of these solutions getting implemented more broadly in society? You know, you all have very specific technologies, Kojima-san and Aoki-san, that you talked about, that you're providing, and Kathy, you look at the market in terms of investor. What is the impact? What changes? What will be different 5 years from now? And is that a place that we all imagine will be a better place? I suppose so, because all of us are excited about it, and that's why we're on the panel. But maybe Kathy, you can start us off. And
yeah.
you, by the way, guys, you can talk about anything you want. You don't have to answer this question.
I think we have, you know, selection bias in this panel because we're all, you know, gung-ho AI supporters. But on the on the flip side, we have to be realistic about the fact that not everybody in the population, neither in Japan or around the world, is maybe fully educated or equipped to really maximize what AI can provide. And so I worry a little bit about this AI kind of intelligence, what do you would call it, AI adoption gap in society, creating inequalities between the haves and the have-nots. So unless we reskill our students and our mature adults on how to effectively use AI or intelligently, responsibly use AI, I think there could be people who fall through the cracks, who lose as a result of they're only doing low-skilled labor. Their jobs are going to be replaced, and so what do they do next? So I think this reskilling, which I know Microsoft is putting a lot of focus on in Japan, which is fantastic, but I kind of worry about that for, you know, I see my elderly relatives, like what are they going to do if they can't keep up with the pace of AI and transformation? So that inequality risk, I think, is real.
Thank you. No, I think that's a very good point. And there's probably an analogy between AI, the internet, and electricity. Yeah. If you look over history, GDP growth correlated to electricity growth. Mm-hmm. And that's why certain parts of sub-Saharan Africa, for example, still don't have electricity, and they don't have that GDP growth. And I think Again, as providers of the technology, we have that responsibility to make sure those people that are most vulnerable are not left behind and are supported. Any long-term views, ideas around the future that you guys would like to comment?
You first?
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
I'm just considering that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess again, I'm generally very excited, and I feel like people should try to solve as many things as possible in this society using AI. For us, it's a language barrier. It could be some other topics in a few years, and there could be automation, so many opportunities, and I'm generally very excited about this. But I guess I'm gonna second Kathy Tan on the importance of education. AI hallucinate. AI makes a mistake. AI might gonna try to trick you. If human is not capable of judging if AI is acting malicious, there's nothing to stop the behavior of AI.
Yes.
So for that, we need to keep our human being as capable as we are right now. I feel like we are lucky enough to be, old enough. We know the society without AI, but for a new generation, they don't know such kind of society, right? They're born with a society full of AI. And we're gonna be more and more dependent on AI. And if someone asked the same question 3 years ago, I think this is a silly, I think something I'm saying is very silly in the sense that, maybe this kind of AGI thing is probably 10 or 20 years later. But part of me, as an AI researcher, a little bit scared, to be honest, what's gonna happen in 2 or 3 years. So we definitely need a way to control how we make use of AI. But at the same time, we need to really actively thinking about which subset of problem is suitable to maximize the power of AI. That's the sort of thing I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, I think those guardrails are what, if you play golf, with not to go outside the OB zones, but to leverage the technology in a secure and safe way is a prerequisite, I think, in terms of using the technology. So you have security, 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 and only then do you have the right to use AI. And that, as I spoke about earlier, in terms of our investments in Japan, but not only us, but the technology industry in general, I think, is working with every government around the world. And this is one of those things where governments actually do agree that we all need some, not laws, but policies and dialogue to make sure we know what the rules of the road are, to make sure that it is indeed used safely and responsibly. So thank you.
Can I potentially add one more point?
Of course, please.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
It's gonna be very quick. Yeah, I guess maybe definitely controlling AI is very important. And for that aspect, collaborating with the local government is very crucial. So in that aspect, I'm a big believer of each country should have its own Gen AI company so that they can create its own AI and work with the local government. That's something we want to see in the next 5 years, potentially.
Right. We love local governments like Tokyo. That's why we're all here. No, I think that public-private partnership and the localization of the technology, I totally agree, is really important. But Aoki-san, please
I
comment.
definitely agree on you. The localization on the security, in terms of the security, national security, AI is really important. Sovereign AI is really important. At the same time, I actually the big fan of the AI, so I strongly believe the improvement of AI itself right
bias.
now. Everybody here right now. But at the same time, I always consider when I consider the future of the technology, it's really important not to be overly confident about the prediction itself. Prediction of the smart guy like us, not like us, not like me, not like them. I mean. Imagine about just consider about the dating right now or relationship right now. Do you know what's the #1 catalyst for marriage or partnership right now? It's dating app or matching application. In Japanese, matching appli.
Right.
So, I mean, before 15 years ago or 10 years ago, nobody imagined that kind of future. I mean, when smartphone first appeared, did savvy businessman or governor like him, Miyasaka-san, I don't think they can imagine or predict such kind of future. So right now, that's why prediction is really difficult for I mean, logical prediction is really difficult. We have to consider the desire or true demand of the human beings for the AI. I think this is really a little bit different, but yeah, I just feel these things from this conversation.
Yes. Yeah, no, that is indeed an important reminder, and yet, though, this thing is happening faster than any other technology, which is exciting, but also, I guess, needs to be managed in some way. Kathy, any other reactions?
I want to ask you three a question about talent.
All right.
You see all these statistics about, while Japan's breeding these wonderful AI companies, in the numbers game of AI engineers, Japan always ranks relatively low. So how are you recruiting your AI talent? I'm just curious if you can share your
It's a
strategy.
really good question to ask, maybe. Yeah, it's really hard to compete with the U.S. top talented startup or Chinese startup, but yeah, I think the software is relatively weak in Japan itself, but I believe the education level itself is really high. I mean, education level for the mathematics, computer science, such basic knowledge is really high. So once we find the good problems to be solved, like autonomous driving or natural language processing, I think the talents should be used really effective way, even in Japan. But yeah.
So you're not having any problems recruiting?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, we could collect a bunch of good talent from Japan, South Korea, China, but when I consider if I started company in the US, it might be much easier to collect the people. So that's why
But they're expensive.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Right. What about
Kojima-san, sourcing talent?
Yeah, I like this question, and I know Shunsuke's company is really good at recruiting, so I'm a little bit hesitant to provide my answer, but I guess I have two answers. One is short-term answer, and the other one is long-term answer. Long-term answer, send more people to the US and maybe China. They're the epicenter of this AI development. You need to feel it to be the best researcher in this game. Short-term answer, this could be surprising for you all. I guess whenever I ask this question to people, how many engineers and researchers are required to build strong GenAI model? Most of people might gonna guess it's 100 people, 1,000 people. That's actually not true. If you have a very strong 5 to 10 researchers, that's enough to build this kind of thing. So you need a small pool of talent that are capable, and that's gonna build your GenAI company fast enough. I remember Sam Altman from OpenAI was predicting there's going to be a unicorn with only 4 employees in it in the next 5 years. I personally agree with it. And whenever I talk about the presence and impact of Kotoba and ask people how many employees do you think we have in our company, people usually guess 50 or 100 people. But in reality, we have roughly 10 full times, and we are making that much impact. So you only need to find a good people. You don't need that much. Yeah.
Quality is really important. I think that developing software and developing AI, it's much different. I mean, in my case, in our company case, we developed the Heron, which is vision language models for smartphone, so which is AI product. Only 2 people just involved with this project, but it's actually popular in the US, and we went to the NVIDIA GTC for presenting the product. I think that's a good, interesting point for the AI development. Quality is important.
No, I would add maybe 2 thoughts. One is if you look at AI adoption in Japan by industry, the industries that have jumped in first is where there was a lot of data. So if I look at financial services, insurance, telecommunications, all of these companies, retail, have a ton of data but not enough information. So they were the first to jump in. But with Turing-san and self-driving autonomous cars, I think Japan's historical strength in monozukuri and manufacturing is a big opportunity. And if you think about the upside of combining this technology with Japan's historical traditional strengths, the need is there. And the lovely thing about current AI or generative AI, because AI has been around since the 1950s. We've had machine learning and different models, but generative AI, where you can speak to a model and generate code, that's the beauty. So I'm not an engineer. I do not have PhDs or masters like you guys do. Kathy and I went to college to date ourselves when there wasn't even the internet, right? I can code now, and that means you've just added historically non-eligible, I guess, digital resources, because tools will enable people to do that. So I think if you just look at the existing talent base in Japan, as we are aging and we're shrinking, each individual, each talent can do much more than they can before. I talked earlier a little bit about reskilling and reskilling women. So we're part of a program with many other Japanese companies called Code Without Barriers. The women that go through these programs, we've graduated 10,000, we're in the next 10,000s, I think. I'm hopeful. And the fact that Japan is stuck between the west coast of technology of the US and the east coast of China makes us competitive, because we can leverage and see what's going on. So hopefully we'll see a bit more. And we're very proud investors in places like Tokyo University and Keio, for example. As part of the Microsoft Research Lab, we've donated capacity and funding to, for example, those two universities to do the latest and greatest in AI. I think we have 3 minutes left, so maybe I ask for each of you with any closing thoughts about the discussion today, or messages to our audience about this AI co-creation world that we're in. We'll start with you.
Yeah, I guess like all the things I said here, given that all the things I said here, AI is very exciting. And we want
I think we can tell.
Yeah.
But thank you for sharing your excitement.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess like, I want to see more AI is leveraged in this society. And personally, like, at least in the scope of Japan, we want a company like ourselves, like Turing, like, the number will grow. And we want to see some successful Gen AI company example blooming from Japan. So we need all of your support, and we need a support from Microsoft. Currently, we are getting, support from like, GPU training, that kind of thing. But continual support is going to be very helpful.
We look forward.
Yeah, and very excited about collaboration, and very excited about what we're going to have in 1 or 2 years.
Thank you, Kojima-san. Aoki-san?
Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really happy to live this age, the big changes by the AI transformation. I think this is really happy things. So everybody might be worried about your own future. I mean, no jobs or no opportunity because of AI. Everybody imagine, but at the same time, really good timing for the transformation. So I think that in my company, our motto is we overtake Tesla, beat Tesla, not Microsoft. I think this big challenging timing or transformation timing is good timing for the making a good company or great organization. So I think this is really good timing for the young generation. That's the only messages I can deliver here.
Thank you very much. Final thoughts, Kathy?
I would just say that clearly Japan absolutely needs more AI than any other country, I believe. And while there are a lot of risks, I think there's a lot of opportunity. I also agree. I think we're so lucky to be living in this incredibly rapidly evolving age. It's a tool like electricity transformed society, many decades ago, but we have to be, again, responsible. We have to worry about security. So I think it's incumbent upon not just the government, but all of us who are actors and players in this ecosystem to ensure that not a few win everything, that the rewards of AI can be shared by many, many people throughout society. It will probably go up and down, AI startups, tremendous valuations, and then it's not. So there'll be a lot of, a lot of ups and downs in this process. But I think that at the end of the day, Japan absolutely needs AI adoption, and the sooner the better. I think one area that I'm personally a little bit concerned about is SMEs or SMBs, Chūshō Kigyo. I think there's a little bit of a, not allergy, but maybe a reluctance to adopt AI, but clearly with a shortage of staff everywhere, I think they absolutely need to turn around. So we're very, very excited about that opportunity as investors.
Thank you, everyone, for a very engaging discussion. I can't believe 45 minutes passed just like that. So please, a big warm applause for our fantastic panelists today. Thank you for your attention.
And our moderator.
Thank you very much once again. 皆さん改めて大きな拍手お願いします。Round of applause.